Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the WTF Series, and in this episode number 3, I'll be answering the question, what the is a lead? Okay, so in addressing this question, what the lead, there are in fact 6 things that I'd like to be sharing with you. The first thing we're going to think about is what we are actually talking about. We're going to leadsquared.com for a definition. We're going to think about who needs leads, how salespeople feel about leads, what you do with leads, and how you get leads. So let's get this started, Ricky. So in addressing this question, what the is a lead, I think the first thing we need to do is establish what it is that we're talking about. And the way we're going to do that is by establishing what we're not talking about. So we are definitely not talking about dog leads, we're not talking about computer leads, we're not talking about the stuff they make church roofs out of, and we're not talking about the city in north of England. We're not even talking about an interesting new piece of information in a murder inquiry. What in fact we are talking about is we are talking about sales leads or marketing leads. So these are the leads that are generated by marketing for salespeople to work. So the question, what is a lead? Now we didn't have to go very far this time for a definition. We went to leadsquared.com, who tell us that a lead is an individual or organization with an interest in what you're selling. Now this for me is a great definition. The only thing I would challenge slightly is whether it's actually possible for organizations to be interested in anything. So the only adjustment I would make here is that a lead is an individual or maybe a group of individuals with an organization with an interest in what it is that you are selling. So the challenge now becomes, how much interest is enough interest for it to become a lead? Well, I would agree with leadsquared.com that any interest is essentially a lead. But if you compare that to the kind of interest that people might express in your business, that might range from somebody liking an Instagram post, they've expressed some interest, compared to somebody who might have dragged themselves across a desert for 3 weeks to discover you selling water. They are going to be much more interested in what it is that you are buying or selling. So what we need to remember about leads is that this is a relative thing. Interest is a relative thing. And the question becomes, how much interest is enough interest to describe it as a lead? So point number 3 is the question, who needs leads? Now the reason I'm asking this question is because I am bombarded on Facebook and on YouTube with people telling me that I need leads in my business. In fact, if I'm not generating 200 leads a day, then I'm not going to be successful in my business. The issue I have with this is it occurs to me that lots of businesses don't actually need leads. If people just come and buy from you, then there's no sales process involved and there's really no need for leads. Typically, the people who absolutely need leads are salespeople, and they will typically be selling high value offerings, potentially in a business to business environment. So if you think about, if I'm selling large scale computer systems, then I need to pitch, I need to present, I need to negotiate, I need to do all of this sales work, and I need leads for that to happen. If I'm selling buns in a bakery, I don't need a lead. Someone's going to come in and they're going to buy it and then they're going to leave. So not everybody needs leads, and traditional small businesses certainly don't need leads. So if you're running a baker's shop or a chemist or a florist, you don't need leads, you need sales. So it's interesting to think that it's typically salespeople with high-end offerings, high-value offerings, and they might typically be in a B2B type situation, or they might be selling very expensive cars or very expensive real estate, but these are the people who need leads. So having established that it's salespeople who need leads, it's interesting to think about how salespeople feel about leads. And what you will often hear salespeople say is things like,
the leads are weak.
While sales managers will say things like,
the leads are weak. The fucking leads are weak. You're weak. A guy don't walk on the lot lest he wants to buy.
Now the marketing team are always going to be really happy with the leads because they've generated them and they don't need to work them. But when you think about how salespeople react to the leads that you've generated and how sales managers react, then you need to remember that this is relative. So depending on your perspective will depend on how strong you think the lead is. Now, if you have the kind of salespeople who are looking to make excuses,
the leads are weak.
They will always blame it on the quality of the leads. And sales managers will always think the leads are great because that's where the sales are going to come from. But what you need to remember when you're dealing with your salespeople and your sales managers and your marketers is that you always need to be thinking about what is the quality of the lead that we're generating. Which brings us then to point number 5. Point number 5 is the question, what do you do with leads? Well, what you do with leads is you give them to your salespeople who work them to make them stronger, to convert them into sales. Now, this is the issue that I have with these people telling me that I need to generate 200 leads a day. Because what I know is that every lead you generate is work, and typically the work of salespeople. So what's interesting to me about this is very often in my business, people have said, we're either going to engage the effective marketing company to generate us some leads, or we're going to employ a salesperson. The issue with that is that leads are the work of salespeople. So if you have too many leads in your business, absolutely you need a salesperson. In every other instance, it's marketing that you need. Now that brings us to the question, what is sales? And that will be the subject of video number 4. So now you must be wondering, how do you get leads? Well, you get leads from all manner of places, from advertising, from canvassing, but essentially you get leads from your marketing. So if you're deciding that you're going to invest your time, your energy, your money in generating these leads, you're going to need a plan or you're going to need a strategy. And that is the subject of episode number 5, what is marketing strategy? Okay, so if you are still with us, well done. You now know exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about leads. We've had a great definition from leadsquared.com. We've thought about who needs leads. It's salespeople. We've thought about how they feel about leads. We know what to do with leads, and you're getting a sense of how you will generate leads. If you have found this interesting or useful, please take a second to like, share, subscribe, maybe comment. Maybe there's a piece of marketing jargon that you would like to see defined in this fashion. If you found it really interesting and useful, why not head across to the Effective Marketing Company blog where you can subscribe and you will get this marketing jargon busting goodness in your inbox every single day. We're done, Ricky.